Hello, I'm Jeffrey Mishlove, and today I'd like to talk about nothing at all. Nothing at all, really. It seems funny, doesn't it? But I actually came up with a little poem to initiate the conversation today. Nothing is so subtle, nothing is so sweet. Nothing comes from nothing, and nothing can't be beat. That's really the essence of what I have to say, because if you think about it, we live in this vast, complex universe. If anything, it's full of stuff. It's full of planets and galaxies and stars and nebulas and all sorts of mysterious cosmic rays, and light permeates everything, and molecules and chemicals and life forms and so on and so on and so on and so on. But where did it all come from? Didn't it really come from nothing at all? In the beginning, there was nothing. Or as the Bible might say, in the beginning, the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the void. And interestingly enough, the Hebrew word for void, tohu, is actually reminiscent of the ancient Babylonian or Sumerian goddess, the great dragon Tiamat, because in the Babylonian legend or Sumerian legend, the god Marduk created the universe by slitting open the belly of the dragon Tiamat. But we can think of it as a void, as chaos, as nothing, because nothing is actually never nothing. That's the paradox. I mean, let's look at it mathematically. Zero. Well, you can get zero by adding +1 and -1. So, or multiplying 0 times anything also gives you 0. So if we start out with a universe of nothing, absolute nothing, how did we get all of this? And if we didn't start out with nothing, how is it that there was anything in the first place there? Why would something be there in the beginning? What was the beginning like if we could go back to the beginning of all cycles, to the beginning of all time, to pure nothing? Just nothing. There was nothing, nothing, nothing. And then something happened. The various creation myths describe it in different ways. A desire arose out of the nothingness. Well, what would that mean? A desire arose out of the nothingness. I think it might mean that all of a sudden you have particles, charged particles, negative and positive particles, and they're attracted to each other. And out of that desire, a universe came forth. And I suppose it's fair to say at some point in time, according to cosmologists, the universe will return back from whence it came, back to nothing. That's the beginning and the end of consciousness. Nothing. And that's the great insight of Buddhism, of course, that when one achieves a realization of nothing, one has achieved nirvana, the total absence of all desire, the total absence of all anything. When you're in nirvana, it doesn't matter whether you're alive or dead. And in the Hindu scriptures and in Hindu theology, you have a similar concept, sunyata, nothingness, emptiness. And in this emptiness, there is a sense of complete wholeness. The nothing, in a way, is the source of our consciousness, the source of who we are, each as individuals. At the deepest level, we're nothing. And that's our strength, ironically. There's a funny joke I recall in the synagogue on the high holy holidays. The men sitting up front in the best seats are all beating their chests and asking God for forgiveness. And they say, "Oh God, please forgive me. I am nothing. I am nothing." And they're all prostrating themselves before God and humbling themselves before God. And then at the back of the synagogue, the little janitor is doing the same. "Oh God, forgive me, for I am nothing." And at the front of the synagogue, one of the wealthy congregants hears him, and he elbows the doctor next to him, and he says, "Look who thinks he's nothing." Yet, there is a sense in which nothingness is our greatest strength. I learned this lesson from my dear departed friend, Dean Brown. And Dean and his wife, Wendy, have written a book on cosmic law. The first of these laws is about nothingness. And in future episodes of InPresence, I want to talk more about Dean Brown. He had an enormous influence on me, a very, very powerful, profound metaphysical thinker, and a very accomplished man in many dimensions as well. So it's funny, out of nothingness comes such richness, comes such fullness. And one wonders, why? Why is all of this magnificence, like this video right now, unfolding out of nothing? And the answer that I learned from my friend Dean Brown is so that the universe can come to know itself, so that the nothingness can discover its full potentiality. And I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you for being with me.